member. Welcome to the members of the public. And just to ask everybody, can you please have your phones on silent? And just to remember that everybody during the meeting needs to be respectful. Attendance, we've got an apology from Councillor Goss. And other than that, we're fine. Table of contents is as is.
Yes.
Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians on this land in which we gather today, and acknowledge elders past and present. Declarations of interest. Does any councillor have any declarations of interest to declare? Councillor Terrett.
We have item 5.5, Code of Conduct Determination, as I am a party to that determination. And item 14.1, Policy Review, Dog Management Policy, non-pecuniary interest.
And Councillor Lambert.
I also have 5.5, Code of Conduct Panel Determination. The witness.
That's all. Councillor Councillor McCullough.
11.3 at this point in time. I don't see anything else at this stage.
And Councillor Andrews.
Closed council 5.3 information items. It's part of the information action items, sorry.
Thank you, everybody. Selected confirmation of minutes. Leave is after this. Where's the leave? Okay, sorry, you got the wrong, I know I got the wrong one, okay, that's all good. Confirmation of the council meeting minutes from Monday the 20th of October. Councillor Adams and Councillor Archer, all those in favour? Against? Carried. The date of the next council meeting will be Monday the 15th of December. Motions on notice by a councillor. We have a motion on notice about the traffic hazard at Hill Street IGA. There's an officer's recommendation, and it's got two recommendations there, that council support the motion as proposed by Councillor Terrett and initiate engagement with the Department of State Growth and relevant stakeholders, or that council take no further action at this time. Councillor Terrett, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, I'd like to move as per my motion.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Brooks. Okay, Councillor Terrett.
Look, it's been an ongoing concern about traffic generally in Wellington Street, and that's probably highlighted by the Hill Street IGA. It's actually exacerbated also by the signage next to the Hill Street in the United Services service station. As you can see from the report, this traffic counts have not been taking place, a traffic impact assessment, since 2009, and anybody who goes in regularly through Wellington Street would see the traffic has increased. And I've often seen people take their life in their hand, particularly in the busy times around after 3 o'clock and certainly the busy times of the morning. Trying to turn right at that intersection is particularly difficult, and it really highlights the problem that as a council, whilst it is a private property there, the traffic is a council concern, or more correctly, a state growth concern. It is their road and that they need to do something. However, councils approved this many years ago, but we can't just turn and say, oh, well, we can't do anything about it. I acknowledge the fact that council has, over the years, tried to find solutions, but that's not a reason we should not continue to try to look for solutions here. The usage and the traffic rates are increasing through Longford, and it really does highlight the need for an alternative route around Longford. However, saying that, we have a problem that exists and we can't ignore it. And to have a discussion with state growth and to get them involved in looking for solutions here is extremely important. Not all our residents are quick at moving off, and often I see the backup of traffic. We will soon have an ambulance station here in Union Street. The traffic there is also somewhat of a challenge as well for that ambulance when it does come out of Union Street, particularly onto that traffic. I specifically look at the IGA and the concerns of people turning, and I know at times I've just had to turn left, go around the block and come back out again. That's not a solution for traffic. And I think there is some long-term solution we need to try to work towards. And without that discussion with state growth, we won't find that solution. So I think having those discussions and trying to find a solution and hopefully find some state funds to also go into that would be also beneficial.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, and I think if you compare that entrance to, say, Prospect Marketplace, I always sort of look at that and sort of similar type entrances, that marketplace entrance, Prospect, really busy with a small roundabout in the middle. It does keep the traffic flowing and keep it safe. So traffic can, I've heard the argument before that road's too narrow, but I don't think it's any narrower than with that part of Westbury Road's quite narrow as well. So if you want to make things happen, I think you can. I think when this got passed a long time ago, there was a push to try and move that entrance to the middle between the bottle shop and the United Service Station, which probably would have helped the situation as well. So that could be another thing for the solution to look at as well. But it is an accident waiting to happen. There's a lot of near misses on there. You see them every day. You take your life into your own hands when you try and turn right out of there. And I think something desperately needs to happen there before. I'm not sure how many accidents have been recorded there, but yeah, it's very dangerous.
Councillor Levitt.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll support the motion because I think I obviously acknowledge the work that's happened so far in terms of the reports that we've looked at, but I think it's time to do some more traffic updates. You literally, Councillor Brooks is right, you take your life in your hands, whichever way you go, trying to get in and out of that space, and it has been exacerbated by the signage from the service station there. It's that perception of blocking off that view leading up to the railway line there. So I really do think that we need to put some pressure on state growth to have another look at this. I don't want to be the council that sits back and says, all right, we've done all we can, we'll just, it's state growth's responsibility. We need to push this for our residents and for our community and to see whether we can get some movement there, because I think there's got to be something that can be done there to sort that issue out. It is only a matter of time before there is a major accident there, and unfortunately I don't want that to be the reason why state growth starts to take notice of that particular intersection there. So I'll support the motion.
Councillor McCullum.
Yeah, I'll support the motion. This should be simultaneous. I've had a look on the map, and Northern Midlands Council actually own all the land down the back end, joining up to the service station and the IGA, which would give us some, hopefully something that might allow us to take traffic a different way out. So I don't know whether that's something that we could consider.
It's the levy, I believe.
No,
Yeah, well, there'd be a little bit of land.
There's a right of way.
There'd be a ditch.
there's a right of way between the levy and the...
Any further discussion? Councillor Adams.
We've discussed this a great deal over the years, and there's no doubt that if we can get state growth who owns the road to do a traffic report and says that there needs to be some safety improvements, we can get something done, and we need then the engineers to look at what the solution can be. And there are opportunities for small roundabouts to be built. I think those things from the engineers who know more than we do, and have the other reports and the information from what's been done in other places. So that would be a good start, but it's getting state growth to put some money together to do that, as we all know. So let's hope we can stimulate a discussion with them.
There's no further discussion. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. It's 5.5 now, Councillor Terrett. Okay, 5.5, the Code of Conduct Panel Determination. We just need to accept it.
Well, it's just
It's just the information, so we don't need to do anything?
No.
Okay, right. So, tables, yes. So now we can call the two councillors back.
Yes.
Get them. Okay, the confirmation of minutes from the council committees. There's a recommendation that we receive these minutes. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Adams. All those in favour? Against? Carried. From the council committees, Campbelltown District Committee have a there's no motions received, and neither from Longford. The following motion from Longford, I beg your pardon, yes, I've got them all highlighted a bit. Okay, Longford Local District Committee have a recommendation around the Longford heavy vehicle traffic monitoring, and the officer's recommendation is that council request the Department of State Growth to continue to monitor the heavy traffic vehicle through used So if somebody wants to move that recommendation, and Councillor Andrews is seconding that, thank you. Any discussion, Councillor Terry?
It probably goes back to the increasing traffic in Wellington Street. Whilst we are an industrial or agricultural street, increasing usage of Wellington Street is putting a pressure on people's home and people living, and sometimes it's very difficult to cross that street to the library. I know some people have just said, no, I'm not going to cross the street, it's too dangerous. Heavy vehicles, and I'm still an advocate for trying to find an alternative. Herbert Street is certainly a good way of moving that around and looking for some other alternatives. But again, that comes with a cost, and to get state growth to do some counts on heavy vehicle movements is an important way of doing that and keeping that monitored. It's not getting better, it's only going to get worse. I think the council doing something in relation to that rather than waiting till the time it becomes critical.
Councillor Andrews.
I support this motion from the Longford District Committee. It's good to see that they're still thinking and talking about it, and it might be a chance in the new year to restart the discussion around the council table about a possible heavy vehicle, I stress heavy vehicle bypass to Longford Main Street. It's getting heavy vehicles off our main street that is the problem, which will solve lots of other things. So I support this, that Longford District Committee are keeping that discussion going. We've just remind people that we've already had council officers investigate an alternative heavy vehicle traffic route, and we've looked at the Herbert Street suggestion that Councillor Terrett's just reminded us of, and it would be extremely difficult because we've got to go through a flood levy to do that. So I think any further discussion will need to come up with other options, and it'll be time in the new year to do that, hopefully.
Councillor Adams.
With our previous discussion, the traffic flow, the traffic numbers is going to be the evidence, and we need to concentrate on that as a discussion with state growth, and the more we build on that, the more evidence we'll have to win the day.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, we're up to information items. Recommendation that the information items be received. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Adams. Any questions about information items? Councillor Terrett.
Just in relation to 8.18, in relation to a draft bill in relation to development assessment. This will have huge ramifications for local government, and I believe the council are going to put together a submission. This means that large developments can bypass council entirely, and it means that basically the community won't have a say, and we must be mindful of, as a local council, being who are closest to the community, hearing from the community and putting out that. Bypassing us to a development assessment panel is probably not the way to go in a community like in Tasmania, and I've seen it work in New South Wales, very different community, and not everything that works interstate does work here. So I think there is a real need for the community to be aware of the development assessment bill, and that we make the appropriate noise particularly to our state members in relation to that bill.
Councillor Andrews.
Can I just ask about your mayor's activities? There was one that was interesting that on 22nd of October attended Pacific Labour Mobility Support Program,
Yes.
family accompaniment.
Yes.
Can you just tell
Yes,
us
there's a
what that's
new
about?
program proposed by the federal government for some of the Pacific Island workers who may like to have their families here with them as well. And they've done a trial run of that. There's 8 families in Tasmania, and they wanted to know what sort of impact, what do we know about it, what sort of impact has it had, has it been good, has there been issues? And I was fortunately able, I know some families personally, they're connected to my husband's son, and as far as I can tell, it's working really well. So that's kind of just gave a positive spin on it, because it's really good for some of those workers to have their families here when they're away from them for so long. And that did mean accommodation issues, because they can't live, if they brought their children as well, they can't actually live in the shared accommodation places. They need to find their own. So there's issues that go with it. They just wanted to do a review of what was going on, what they've actually started to see if it was working.
And at this stage, it's a trial.
It's a trial, yes. So, any further questions about information items? Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. It's too early to go to planning, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, so we'll have to go
Yeah,
to,
4:30.
yes. What's the one after planning? You've got a page? Oh, here we go. Found it.
Page
Monthly report?
69. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Development Services Monthly Report. Recommendation that the report be accepted. So that is here. I have a mover and a seconder. It's page 69.
69.
Councillor Tarrant and Councillor Lambert. Okay, any questions about the monthly report? No? Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Next one. Yes, the dog management policy. Yes.
And there may be people in the community who I think have some speakers.
Yes, so should we hold this over?
Oh, if you have.
If we've got
they've
any members of the public who wish to speak about it, we'll hold it over until after planning.
Yes.
Thanks, Councillor Terra. Okay, the next one is 14.2, the trial of the free shower facility at Longford Memorial Hall and Pioneer Park, Evandale.
Recommendation, A, that we endorse the implementation of the free shower facility at the Memorial Hall, Longford.
And
And Evandale?
And endorse the operation of the free shower at Evandale.
And Councillor Brooks, you're seconding that? Cool. Okay, Councillor Lambert.
I've been
Councillor Brooks.
pushing for these sorts of things to be happening in our community for quite some time now. So it's quite pleasing to see this report come to our council tonight. Reading through here, it's obvious that the coin operation system didn't work for council for various reasons and has actually cost council probably money, or ratepayers money. So to move to a free access model, transition into that for a 4-month trial, I think is probably the right way to go. Apart from the fact that it will not be a huge financial burden on the ratepayers, but what it will actually do is provide some very much needed facilities for our vulnerable people who may be homeless to be able to access showers with a bit of dignity and privacy of their own situation and not having to come and get tokens and things like that. So I think that is a really positive step forward for our council and for our, and we all know that there are people in our community who are struggling, doing it tough, may find themselves homeless for whatever various reasons. So I'm really pleased that we're able to do this and look at how this might work over a 4-month period and look at implementing it in other towns such as Perth and Campbelltown. And I think perhaps we also need to be looking at Cressy as well as one of those towns. if we had a neighbourhood house, we would not be having to go down this track, because usually neighbourhood houses like the one at Deloraine, for example, provide those facilities, free showers and those amenities for people who need them, and a lot of other great services as well. So I commend the officers for going down this track, and for listening to the councillors who have been listening to their community, who've been asking for these things. I know the Evandale District Committee have been wondering when this was going to happen in their community as well. I know Perth have a Progress Association, and before that their district committee was asking about these showers, free showers to be put in their communities as well. So I see this as a really positive step forward for supporting vulnerable people in our community. I understand that there may be other people that choose to use these facilities, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at the good in everything here, and it's a good thing that we're providing these facilities for people who need them. My question would be how we advertise that they are available and that they're available freely. Will we have some signage up? Will there be something on our Facebook pages, and not just a one-off, some regular kind of reminding that those facilities are available? How are we planning to do that?
Yeah, well, certainly we can advertise for these facilities. There'll be signage go straight up.
Yeah.
Longford was done as a trial, but we put a coin-operated system in there. That just hasn't worked because of the high maintenance cost, and it breaks down all the time. So in a way, water's cheap, and if we just much cheaper than repairing these machines all the time. So we'll go trial that way, and probably implement other towns, showers in other towns on that basis if it's successful.
Excellent. And just one other question then. When this comes back after the 4 months, will we be looking at things like implementing things into the budget to make sure that this, if the trials are successful, I presume it's going to be, implementing things into the next budget to allow those other towns to facilitate this too?
Council's already made a decision that it would implement Longford as a trial, and it's already put Evandale in the budget. And when we retrofitted the Evandale Pioneer Park toilets, we plumbed that in, ready to turn on. And I think now that we don't have to fund the $5,000 to put this coin-operated system in there, that can be turned on very quickly before Christmas. And then next year, hopefully, because it's a bit lower installation costs, maybe we can move quicker to get showers in other towns. Obviously, we have to have a facility that we can fit it in. Perth is probably fairly easy, but Campbelltown, we'll look at options there. And now that you've suggested Cressy, we'll look at options there too.
And will that make up part of that report that comes back to us after the 4 months, those particular options that we can look at moving forward? All right, thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, there's a cost of living as it gets higher and higher. There's more people that are doing it tough, sleeping rough, moving from town to town, bed to bed. Some people, just can't survive without, the modern necessities these days. Just a couple of questions. The hot water issue, is that a hot water issue because we haven't got a big enough hot water cylinder, or what's the issue there? Because if we're rolling this out to other towns, we need to make sure that we've got this hot water issue sorted before we roll it out to other places. Otherwise, if we're providing showers and they're not hot, well, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, so what is the issue with the hot water?
Certainly not it's not the hot water cylinder issues. It's the solenoids with the electronics in this coin-operated system, and we will just purely put a time tap on the showers instead of this complicated system.
Any more? Councillor Terrett.
No, I'm just very pleased to see this finally taking place, and reiterating some of the comments of Councillor Lambert, particularly the other towns. Obviously, sometimes homelessness is a hidden homelessness, particularly amongst older women who we may not see or acknowledge. But having this service is a very important part of dignity, and it's about giving dignity to the homeless people or people who need this service. And in towns like Perth, quite often there might be somebody who goes down there and sleeps under the bridge now, or sleeps in their car. We as a council, it's easy to turn your mind against these people, but it's a reality as cost of living is getting harder. More and more people can't afford the rents, and by giving people dignity through being able to have a shower is so important to those people less fortunate.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you. Yes, so we have Helping Hand and Riverlands complex that help out with people as well. And it's great that we are doing something within our municipality. But I'm pleased, I'd just like to say that I'm pleased that we're, the old coin boxes in the barbecues all around the state and the municipalities have gone. And that's a good thing. We've moved on from there, and they only lend people who wants to try and break them open and then causes problems. So doing away without that, I think, is a good positive move, and we don't want to go back that way. And it definitely overcomes the problems we had with the hot water. So that'll be good. I'll support this. Very good.
Any further discussion? I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, we've got 3 minutes. Move on to the next one. Okay. 14.3 is the re-establishment of the Strategic Property Committee, and there is a recommendation there that endorses the re-establishment of the committee, and we need some councillors to nominate, Councillor Terrett and Councillor Brooks and Councillor McCullough.
No, I was going to nominate
I
someone.
beg your
I was
pardon.
going to amend it to 2 councillors, so we
Okay.
don't have to, people can look at it if it does get through.
Well, it's just got the 2 there. So
So rather than nominating now, that we just have
doing it now.
nominate the 2 councillors to the committee.
Or you can nominate 2
I
councillors
just
now.
want to nominate someone now.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll
Go ahead.
nominate Councillor McCullough to the committee.
Do we have to put a motion first before we do the
There's
nomination?
the motion's
The
there.
record, it's there.
You're just filling in the
You just
councillor
fill
name.
in the spaces.
Councillor Andrews.
We have 2 nominations. Any further nominations? Now, Councillor McCullough.
Move that motion now.
Sorry?
Have we got anyone to move
Yeah.
that motion?
But I better ask first, Councillor McCullough and Councillor Andrews, do you both accept the nominations? Okay, so now Councillor Terrett's moving the, where am I? Here we go, over here, sorry. Councillor Terrett's moving the recommendation, Councillor Adams is seconding. So we have Councillor McCullough and Councillor Andrews, and there, we don't have to worry about the other one. Okay,
It was with some delight that I see this coming to our paper. This was first moved, I raised this motion on notice back in January of 2024. We finally get this through as a document. The requirements of our meeting practices and procedures are that all representatives appointed to councils on boards, authorities, special committees and community committees be appointed following the first ordinary election. That was 3 years ago. We finally appointed people to that committee. This is an important committee. People may say, oh, well, why do we need this? It gives us opportunities to look at where we can do savings, what are the strategic sites, and I can point to one just down the road here in the where the 24-hour fuel. So if we had a strategic property committee, that may have been an opportunity to acquire that at that stage. Council is a multi-million-dollar organisation, and we have lots of properties that need to be monitored, and also planning forwards is part of our long-term strategic plan. Whether it's a cemetery, whether it's a future facilities, we need to have a committee that can say, well, we really do need that, and link it to our long-term strategic planning. Next year marks the year after, 2027, also marks the beginning of a new strategic plan for 2027 to 2037. And having this committee established now gives us some method of moving forward and looking at what properties we should and maybe better utilise as well.
Councillor Adams.
I think so, Mayor, yeah. Yes, councils need to be able to buy and sell, and then we need a strategic committee to look at that stuff and bring it back to us. Cities buy half blocks and things to influence direction and traffic flows, and the whole works over 10 years or more. So, and we've missed a couple, I think, and Councillor Tarrant mentioned one. And I think there's other opportunities in the towns and villages that we need to do, and because there's always off-street parking and these sort of things for the traders. So we need to be conscious of it. We need to be on top of it and need to look at it. So I think this is the direction, and where we've reached, and we shouldn't have any problem passing this motion.
Any further discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, we will now go back to public questions and statements. Public question time. Okay. So this is now the time when the members of the public are asked if they would like to speak about a topic. This is about a topic that's not to do with any of the planning items. Asking a question about something else entirely. You have 3 minutes if you wish to speak, ask a question or make a statement. You just need to give your name and the town that you live in. So is there anyone who wishes to make a statement or ask a question about something that's not related to a planning item? Yes. Just state your name and you've got 3 minutes.
I have a name. My name's Sue Axton, and I'd like to point out a couple of small adjustments that I'd like to see happen to the management policy. And I commend the council on taking on board the reviews and giving the opportunity for breeders. A kennel licence 1 is a little concern to us as breeders. This licence is required for housing of 2 companion dogs or 4 working dogs, and includes the companion dogs and a working dog. Under the definition of a companion dog, it is primarily kept for persons for companionships, protection, entertainment, rather than a working or breeding. While there may be not a definition for breeding dogs under the Dog Control Act 2000, breeders need to know that we are able to apply for a kennel licence. The hunting dog has been acknowledged for the purpose of applying for a kennel licence for a hunting dog will be included in Kennel Licence 1 companions as if it were a working dog. Breeding dogs need to have the same recognition as the present document gives, a document being the dog management and responsible ownership, gives no guidance to how to apply for a kennel licence to breed dogs. This could be better clarified by adding a clause to Kennel Licence 1 similar to the hunting dogs. The breeding needs to have some recognition. The purpose of applying for a kennel licence for dogs kept for breeding purpose shall be included in KL1 companionship. Under the fee structure, the owner of a dog for breeding purposes and registered with Dogs Tasmania are levied a fee that recognises the purpose for which they are kept. The fee will however be discounted according to which a normal animal is applied. That's only a fee structure. Breeders have been listed in the fee structure, therefore Council acknowledge that we exist, and the transparency of Kennel Licence 1 should include us as breeders. And I'd also like to point out under the fee structure that you have noticed assistance dogs as a definition under the new policy, but you haven't included them in your fee structure, and I presume it should be included with guide dogs and hearing dogs. It's not included under the fee structure. So is there a no charge for assistance dogs?
We will review that, yes. Yes. Have you got that mentioned in your...
It's all here.
Yes?
Yeah.
Do you mind if the Acting General Manager has that? Have you finished? Sorry.
Yes, I'd just like to, you can have it, I've not got a copy. I'd just like to ask that as a breeder, there's nowhere to go in that policy to request a kennel licence. You just go to the companion dog, and when we're breeders, our dogs are more than companions, and we breed for different purposes. We don't just breed to breed. I myself own retrieving dogs, so I would say I could request a licence under the present policy because my dogs work as well as show and breed. But if you're a newcomer, to go to this policy to ask for a kennel licence. There's no guidance.
That's a fair comment.
So even if it's just a small, I don't mind where, but just somewhere small to apply for a breeder's licence, apply under kennel licence, one. And I know in the Dog Act, there is no, I looked today, there is no description or definition of a breeding dog.
Thank you.
So I would like, I'll give you these, Marie, without problem, and I'd like you to take those two items into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the members of the public who wish to make a statement or ask a question about something that's not related to a planning item?
I'm Leanne Peters from Campbelltown, and thank you for your time and attention. Of course, this is about the streetscape, but the Campbelltown's #1 tourist attraction is our Convict Brick Trail. The trail brings many visitors every day to our town. Some bus operators bring their groups to Campbelltown to walk the trail. People are always looking for their ancestors and are asking for convict lists and where they might find their relatives. Although the Convict Brick Trail concerns took the back seat against other more important issues with the Campbelltown streetscape, the Convict Trail was a community initiative, self-funded, and we've got the John here who started the Convict Brick Trail. He funded it a lot himself and is a key draw card to our town. In your own Campbelltown Urban Design Traffic Management Strategy from May 2017, which I assume was the basis of the streetscape plans, it was recommended to, quote, upgrade footpaths along High Street and extend the Convict Brick Trail. I wonder who came up with the plan to change it and why. We beg of the Northern Midlands Council to reconsider the plans for the bricks and maintain our trail with the possibility of extending it in the future. The boat-shaped sections dotted around the streetscape as planned do not have the same impact as the trail. Plus the convict arrows, like on the corner of the antique shop and the leather shop, have been an ongoing trip hazard since their installation. Please save the Convict Brick Trail. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it, yes, just say that your name and the town you live in.
John Cameron, Campbelltown. Now, how many of you have walked Convict Brick Trail in Campbelltown? Right, those that haven't, I'll get you a pass that around with some of the bricks. Now, does anybody know why Campbelltown's got such a wide street? Our forefathers made the street wide so that coaches in either direction could be parked on either side of the road, and they could go and get refreshments, go to the toilet or whatever, and still leave room down the middle of the road for other coaches going in either direction. You know that Campbelltown was going to be the capital of Tasmania at one stage. Does anybody know that? Just think about things. The bricks were made by 4 young blokes I had on the dole. They were sandblasting the brick from one of these mats. It was sandblasted, stuck on the brick, sandblasted, and I'll get you the paint that pass that around too. Spray painted, and you finish up with a brick with the name of the convict, the age that he came out, the boat, the date he arrived, his crime, length of sentence, and something that became of them.
I'll just let you know you've only got half a minute left.
Sorry?
You've got half a minute left. Yes.
We extend.
Mover and a seconder. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you. Councillor McCullough and Councillor Chair.
Yeah, as I said, I had 4 young blokes on the dole. I found them in the pub next door and gave them a job, and they were being paid back in 2003, 2010, $180 a week to supplement their dole money, which kept them on the straight and narrow because it kept them off the weed and the drinks. When the council stopped me from doing more, stopped by a member that the council sent down as chairman of the forum committee. I told him he had a convict ancestor, and he said no, he didn't. His was a soldier. And when I told him that had a convict as an ancestor. He got all shirty and did everything he could
Please be respectful though, in what you're saying.
against the trade. Now, the streetscape that you're putting in now with all the trees and making it look beautiful, we don't want to look like another town everywhere in Australia. We want to keep the street wide like that so that trucks can stop and get a cup of coffee, so that caravanners can stop and get a cup of coffee because they can't with the trees that are going to go into the thing. There's notable people in the brick trail. You know that the trail, there is not 1 cent of Campbelltown or Northern Midlands money in the whole project. It was all self-funded. People paid $50 for a brick. We got the brick and they got a certificate that the Campbelltown Council approved, saying that they owned a 9-inch by 4-inch piece of Campbelltown, and they got this to commemorate their forebear. Some of the forebears that were there's a brick put in there by the Council of Glenrowan in Victoria, John Kelly, Ned Kelly's father, right? There's a brick that, I'll pass this around too. A lot of you don't know that there were 92 American and Canadian bricks in there that I paid for myself. Pass that around too. American patriots who, mainly New Yorkers, and they tried to invade Canada to make it free of the British. And they got captured, and the governor of Canada, a chap by the name of George Arthur, sent them out to Port Arthur, and that George Arthur was the same George Arthur that was governor here in Tassie before he went to Canada. And there's a couple of names on the brick, on the thing there that I'll point out that you might have heard of before. Barnum and Bailey Circus, Henry Barnum's there. John Cronkite, Walter Cronkite, that did the moon landing and the Kennedy assassination TV broadcast, his bricks there. And another chap by the name of William Gates, Bill Gates's forebear. Now,
That's your extra 3 minutes is up now. So can you sum up quickly?
about another 10 minutes to go.
Oh, sorry, that
If I
can't
can.
happen. Sorry. Thank you very, very much for your time.
We will see. I've got a stack of things there. Pardon the thing, the computer went funny. That's about
That's
the whole
for
thing.
hanging
There's
around.
10
Sorry. Yes.
in there. And you'll see that the last page I've got in there is about the historical aspect of the brick trail. The National Trust in their diary put a full page in their national diary about the trail. So they care more about the trail than what the Northern Midlands Council does.
We will be respectful, please.
Sorry?
We will be respectful. You've had your time now. We will make sure they're handed around. Thank you very, very much.
Can
Good.
we just tell this gentleman what our plans are for the bricks?
Ms. Brixton, then? Yes.
Well, at the moment, the plan is to obviously take up the bricks when we're putting the new pavements in.
Yes, they're going to be put in that park.
And
No, excuse me.
and put
The acting general manager will explain to you.
and they will be put back into the path, but in the ship, whatever shapes.
Something like that. The idea of the track,
Excuse
the
me, Ms.
trail
Brixton.
will go around
Yes.
Campbelltown so that people.
Excuse me, Ms. Brixton will explain what's going to happen.
So the ships will go back in, and the bricks will go from that area, will go back into the ship, to each ship, and the ships will be a trail round on the footpath. But they won't be a continuous line, they'll be a continuous line of ships. So people can still walk round the town and look at the
Each brick
ships,
is numbered.
but it is in a different form.
You see the AA at the BC at the bottom there, they started the bridge at AA, and went
The numbering will be
bricks.
included in
The
information sheets,
But
that the people
what
be
you
able to
did up,
get.
what you did up at Queen Street, and pulled up and regulated into a block of 50, and the idiot that's put them in
Please
has
be respectful.
put the bricks in, then he's gone and got sprinkled cement dust all over the top of the brick, and it's filled up all the engraving. I cannot read them.
We'll try and make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Blocks of 50
But
and
I'm
50.
afraid you've had your time now.
In the letter that I've left there, there's the way the bricks were made.
We'll
And
take
one
your
of those
comments
poor
on-
chaps, the young blokes I had on the blower, when he was put out of the job, they were down south drinking, and when they were driving home one night, they had a head-on and killed a bloke. And the best work I've ever had, foreman, finished up going to jail for 3 years for manslaughter.
We'll
must-
take
we
your
must
comments
move
on
on.
board
Yeah.
and, yeah, and
Thank you. Thank you for coming along.
And I apologise for the
Yeah, we-
computer went
We
funny.
appreciate
Fine.
it.
Thank you.
It's fine. Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody else in the members of the community who wish to make a statement or ask a question about something that's not related to planning items? Okay, we'll move into planning. Have a with Councillor Lambert and Councillor Terrett. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Planning 1, is there any member of the community who wishes to speak about Planning 1, 65 Catherine Street, Longford? No? Okay. Planning 2, does anyone wish to make a statement about Planning 2? It's an application to amend a permit for worker accommodation in Cressy. And Planning 3, does anyone wish to make a statement about the report to the draft amendment, site-specific qualifications for a 2-lot subdivision, 5 Escley Road, Perth? Okay, we'll go to Planning 1. Planning 1. Multiple dwellings, 65 Catherine Street. Do you wish to speak,
Just to
planner?
make a correction, it's actually 63 Catherine Street.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
No, that it is written correct, sorry, that's a typographical error.
Okay.
So 63?
63. Thank you for that. Now, would you like to outline what the proposal is?
The application before council tonight is for 3 assisted living multiple dwellings. Yes, so the recommendation, as you'll see before you, is proposes standard conditions you would see on any multiple dwelling application. The proposal itself is on an internal lot that was only recently subdivided, so it is a new title. The elements of discretion of the application are addressed within the report by the assessing officer. You will see that there are limited discretions in relation to this application, namely around performance criteria 3 in relation to the building envelope and development within a side boundary setback, which has been addressed by the assessing officer to meet the applicable test. You'll also see that under the Longford specific area plan, there is the discretion against the residential density of multiple dwellings. The Longford specific area plan has an acceptable 400 square metres per unit essentially. The application does request to vary that, but as you can see through the thorough assessment by the assessing officer, context has been given to, or consideration has been given to planning law and the larger area, and it is the recommendation of the officer that the test has been met essentially by the reduction in density, or the increase in density, sorry, the reduction of the criteria. There are some development standards in relation to the specific area plan that are also addressed, which are, if I may say, fairly standard for us when it comes to discretionary applications. That's the provision of windows and walls within a general residential area. Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, we have a recommendation that the application planning 250181 to develop and use the land at 63 Catherine Street, is correct there, for 3 multiple dwellings for assisted living be approved subject to the following conditions. I won't read through the conditions, but I need a mover and a seconder for the motion. Councillor Adams, and a seconder. Councillor Archer. Councillor Adams.
No, I support the motion.
Councillor Archer.
Could I just ask the planners about the representors, especially about their buildings on one side of the block? Is that standard format in some streets that you only build on one side for shading issues, or is that not a concern? Perhaps you could address that.
Purely coincidental. It is common, and I believe it was addressed in the report, about quite often where you have the access strip or the internal driveway to build opposite that so that you have more manoeuvrability. It's just purely coincidental, really.
No installation?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Did I read somewhere where there was a water issue with that land, that piece of land? On that same representative talked about the building on one side. Did he bring up a water issue there?
Oh, like stormwater? You mean- Yeah.
Because they are flat, them blocks. Where does that stormwater run?
Good question on that one. I believe I'd have to double check if that's to the back of the property or the street on that particular block. I think it shows on. That doesn't show on that.
Does it have to run through, if going through the back, does it have to go through like neighbouring properties, easements and stuff, or is that run straight down the driveway out to the Catherine Street?
Just got to double check where the pipe is actually located. There have been issues with drainage on the flat blocks around that area, especially with development going on around where landfilling occurs and things like that. It's sort of not necessarily creating issues, but identifying that water doesn't flow very well there.
The stormwater main is in the street, is in Catherine Street, so that the house obviously will connect to that. The representation has a concern that it's currently wet on that site. And this would likely improve it with, an amount of it being sent out to the street rather than staying on site.
It's got a green line, stormwater line going down that northern boundary, so that would pay.
There is a green line on the plan too, but that's an existing fence line. It's just really hard to tell the time.
Does that water go into like a retention pit, or does it flow out to the street? Has it got enough fall to flow out to the street, or are the pipes all charged up? I don't know. Is it?
There's no pump system, is that what you're asking?
No, is there a retention there for the stormwater and runoff off the driveways and stuff?
No. Where is it? So it is part of the conditions of, or the recommended conditions of approval under 4.1 that prior to the issue of a building permit, the applicant has to design and provide plans for the underground stormwater drainage to collect stormwater from the driveways as well as the roofed areas, and that will have to be connected through to the street. So it will be up to them in terms of the plumbing application and that how they're going to get the fall or the charge or that sort of outcome to get the stormwater off the site and into our system, which is the 450 system, which I believe would be fine for the 3 additional dwellings.
Any further questions? Councillor Lambert.
Just a comment, really. I just want to express my disappointment in the planning scheme, really, and the fact that I think it's Unit 1. There is, on their private open space, no sunlight whatsoever. And I think that the planning scheme has allowed that lack of amenity for an assisted living unit is quite disappointing. That there, I would have thought sunlight would have been something that would have been part of, good planning, but obviously it's anything goes now. So I just want to express my disappointment in that.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Planning 2 is an application to amend the permit for the worker accommodation 105 to 107 Main Street, Cressy. And we have a recommendation that the planning 25-0156 be amended pursuant to section 56 of the Land Use and Planning Approvals Act 1993, so that it reads as follows. This permit allows land at 105 to 107 Main Street, Cressy to be developed and used for a change of use to residential, to communal residences, subject to the following conditions. I won't go through the conditions, but that's the gist of it. So a mover and a seconder for a motion, please. Councillor Brooks, you're moving that motion. And Councillor Adams is seconding. Councillor Brooks, do you want to speak to it?
No, I don't think so. It's fairly well explained there.
Councillor Adams.
I know, I think it's accommodation being converted, and it seems to be the planner has given us a recommendation. I think the parking's there's going to be a crossover and some sealing on the beginning.
Roughly the first 5 metres from the boundary will be sealed, yes, from land to gravel.
There's nothing you need to add as a planner?
No, I think it says outlined in the report.
Any further discussion? Councillor Andrews.
Just a question. This one's come up only a meeting since, or a couple of meetings since we talked about another similar motion for worker accommodation at Cressy, and I think that this site is very close to that site that we talked about a couple of meetings ago. I just wonder if the council officers are aware that there are more of these to come. In other words, is there much more planning proposed for work accommodation at Cressy? And is there a time to sort of look at the strategic plan for Cressy and just see if we've got a balanced approach to things?
I haven't been advised of any further ones that are coming, but I expect there will be. And as we know, that it's an allowable use in the residential zones of state provision. I think it really is a matter of looking at these in terms of making sure they've got enough parking and that they've got a reasonable amount of sealed accesses as they come up.
Would you be concerned that at some stage there might need to be a discussion? Cressy's only a small place. That even if it was anywhere else in the world, would there be a time when there would need to be a discussion about too much of the same thing happening in a small town?
The problem is that we're under state provisions in which this is permitted use.
We don't have a say.
We don't have a say. No, if we would have to take something to the state if we had a concern. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to mention that perhaps you may see a change in the future if the state, the proposed amendment to the state planning provisions to allow for worker accommodation in the rural zone and the agriculture zone, which I think was put before you last year sometime.
Yes.
If that progresses further, potentially you might see a change, but until then it's just as they come in.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I think it's good and bad, Cressy. It's driven a lot of economic development in Cressy. You got that bakery, you've got the pub that's booming, the bakery, and all of a sudden, the little news agency and the IGA, all those little things end up going gangbusters. Have a look at Cressy probably 10 years ago, and there's been no development at Cressy for probably 10 years up to then. And then since a few of these things have sprung up, all of a sudden Cressy's become a bit of an iconic place to go. So it can be good and bad. I'm not sure about the residents what their take is on it, but You know, they've got to go somewhere, and you know, you can't just have them living out in the middle of nowhere. As long as they're spread across the community, I suppose, and not just put into one place, I think would be Cressy.
Some of this accommodation might be suitable for the family accompaniment scheme, perhaps? Families?
Yeah,
It's possible.
possibly, yeah.
Did I move that? Or did
No,
you-
councillor
Oh, oh.
Brooks moved, yes, sorry, and he's summed up now, so, sorry. I'll put that recommendation, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, planning 3 is the report on representations to the draft amendment, site-specific qualification and permit for a 2-lot subdivision, 5 Escley Road, Perth. And we have a recommendation that under section 40K of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, council provide the Tasmanian Planning Commission with the attached section 40K in relation to the draft amendment and planning permit, stating that the planning authority is of the opinion that the representations do not have merit, and having taken the representations into consideration, the draft amendment does not require modification, and is satisfied that the draft amendment meets the LPS criteria and recommends the draft amendment to be approved. Do we have a mover and a seconder for a motion? Councillor Archer, you're moving that motion? Yes, is there a seconder, please? Councillor Andrews? Councillor Archer?
Look, in the interest of development of our community, and especially housing, and the fact that the landowner's property was dissected by a major road, I think the development of the land north of the Midlands Highway for housing is a good community outcome. And as long as it's legal, and this is the key concern, I think, of council, that we follow all legal procedure here, for that subdivision to go ahead and that land be used for residential development is positive for the community. And even though there's been an issue before in regards to this approval, I believe I've been assured that our amendment will be legal, and in that regard I move the motion.
Councillor Andrews? Any further discussion? Councillor Terrett?
I wish to speak against this. Whilst I see there is a need for additional housing, there are a number of aspects about this when it came to the September meeting that weren't disclosed, and it includes the matter going to TASCAT of a similar nature. Whilst the pure planning legislation may have some other routes that achieves the same objective, the fact that this council spent ratepayers' money and in an appeal objecting to the previous matter because it was outside without negotiating back to the applicant at that previous time, and we're talking April of 2023, not that long ago. I'm concerned that the council being exposed to liability as a consequence of that, and now we're approving an application which is substantially similar, I won't say it's the same, similar to what was come to council previously. In reviewing the application that was before council, in particular the local provisions schedule, in particular water and sewerage, where already water has exceeded the capacities for Perth, and sewerage, the recommendation is long-term building an additional sewage works, which we currently don't have, and it's exceeding the current capacity in Perth. One of the schedule requirements is sustainability of water, and in my opinion, I think I have some huge considerations that this is not meeting the provisions of the local provision schedule, particularly in relation to water. And as a consequence, I will be voting against this.
Councillor Brooks?
Well, I ask the planners, how does this application differ from the one back in 2023 that council fought fiercely against? It seems like we've done a complete backflip in 2 years, but nothing's changed. So what has changed?
Yeah, what has changed, this is an application to amend the scheme combined with a 2-lot subdivision. the earlier proposal was just for subdivision under the current provisions of the scheme, which didn't allow it, which is why it had to be refused. That was appealed, and of course council had to uphold or fight its appeal. This application is to amend the scheme for site-specific qualifications that will allow consideration of subdivision and for a permit associated with that, which the Land Use Planning Act allows consideration of an application that would be prohibited if the scheme was not amended as requested. So it's an application under a different part of the scheme, which council has to consider. That's how it's different.
Any further discussion? Councillor Archer, do you wish to sum up?
Yes, I'd just like to say in regards to Councillor Terrett's comments that basically in any municipality, developments are required. Infrastructure will have to be developed to cater for those. If we didn't move forward in these things, no development would occur. I think the situation is that, yes, Perth might be under pressure with sewerage and water, but the development is significant and the increase in rates for the council is significant, and I'm sure it is incumbent upon Taswater and other service providers to keep up with development.
Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against?
Aye.
Councillor, could you please put your hand up, Councillor Terrett and Councillor Brooks against? The motion's carried. We can get Councillor McCullough back. And we're up to, we need to move out of planning. I'll wait till my Councillor McCullough's back. Okay, we need to move out of planning. Councillor Terrett's moved, Councillor Adams is seconded. All those in favour? Against? Carried. So we're now up to 15 corporate services reports. Sorry. Oh, yes, sorry, yes. Oh, I thought the people who were concerned didn't stay. Anyway, okay. 14.1, which is what page, please?
77.
77, thank you. 77, right, yes. Okay. Policy review, dog management policy and code of responsible dog ownership. We have a recommendation that council endorse the amendments to the dog policy and the code of responsible dog ownership. Does somebody wish to move that recommendation or something different? It's on page 77, yes.
I'd like to ask a question. Does the matter the lady raised in representative included, or is that,
Yes.
would that have to be altered for this motion to be moved?
Tatiana for that, yeah.
Tatiana, have you did you get to listen to the lady's comments?
Yes.
And hi. Yes, you can find a
Do
seat
you
there.
want a copy of this, or you're right?
No, I haven't.
You've got,
No, I don't have any copy of that.
didn't
I could say that the comments were pretty much a room for breeders as a kennel license holders, and the other thing was the fee structure thing. Is that correct?
yeah, about the fee structure, well, that's fine, that's not part of the policy.
Yes.
And she just wanted to make sure that we had an easy access to getting a kennel licence for those that wanted it. So some sort of note that
Okay,
makes
so I'm going to make some observations there, so maybe we can have this a bit clear. In the draft that we put to the public consultation, we got a kennel license number 3 as a classification, and that was the kennel license regarding breeders, and it was kennel license 3 breeding it is the license required when more than 2 litters in an 18-month period are being bred from the property. That was recommended to take it out, not just by the public, but in an internal review as well.
Yes.
So we take that classification out, and what we did was put that as kind of a recommendation or a note in the Code of Responsible Ownership.
Yeah.
So every time that a dog is going to be registered, that note is going to be in the registration form as the note that they need to be responsible in having the pet, and they need to be responsible in having some control regarding the breeding of the pet. Otherwise, that will trigger our power to actually report that to the RSPCA. which is the only power that we have regarding the breeding process because it's a welfare issue. So in the workshop, we kind of explained a bit of that, but I reckon that Mrs. Saxton, is it? Yep.
Yes.
As a breeder, she has the concern that, okay, but we are not like we were totally excluded from the policy. We were asked, or we were doing some research. As she said, she did some research as well, and there is not like an official or a legislative definition of breeder. So we could come up with a definition in our policy, but more than that, I reckon that will be kind of inappropriate for us as a council because it's not our powers. So Christy has something to say as well.
So we did do a little bit of work, a little bit further work around the breeder category because of the feedback that we'd received from the community about not having rules determining things for breeders, and that was some of the feedback we got from Dogs Tasmania as well. Dogs Tasmania, in their code of conduct and on their website, in their details, the Dog Control Act and the Animal Welfare Act, none of them actually specify what is a breeder. They talk about breeding being in the Welfare Act, the 2 dogs within the 18 months, but none of the legislation we could find specified what a breeder is. So if we are to go back and add breeding back into the kennel licence, that is what most of the feedback was to take out reference to breeders. It's
Not going to help.
we're not quite sure what that would or how that would. We've made the comment that breeding is not in control. It's not a controlled area for animal control at council. Breeding comes under, as Dogs Tasmania said, under their code of conduct for purebred dogs, and it comes under the Animal Welfare Act of breeding. So that's why it's been removed from the policy.
And is there any possibility of putting a line in somewhere for someone who wishes to apply for a kennel licence, just what to go to? I guess like a link.
Procedure.
Yeah. Is there any way of just popping that in and we can make it add it to our, well, wait a minute.
Well, it could be in Kennel License 1, which is the kennel license for companionship dogs, which is says the license required for the housing of more than 2. Sorry, I'm reading the one that is not the one.
It should be there, general, sorry.
Sorry, this is Kennel License 1 companionship. This is a license required for the housing of more than 2 companion dogs or 4 working dogs, and includes both companion dogs and working dogs.
Yes, I don't think they're worried about what the definition is. It's more just a link to be able to get a letter.
Can I pass a motion that we bring it back to the next meeting?
Sorry. Yeah.
This is really, we should be debating it in council, or we should be amending it. We're not making debate on the
Just read
run.
that in one line.
The officer was just replying to a question from councillor
Well, it
Archer.
should be done within the context of the
No,
meeting.
excuse me, we'll be respectful too.
I've been very-
The officer was trying to explain the situation. So it's not so easy. Should we be putting it off to the next meeting, or can we just slot in a line in one section of it? You can apply for a kennel licence.
Slide the lines into a policy.
Put a motion forward, please, that we defer it to the next meeting and bring it to the next workshop.
Study includes breeding dogs, Well, working
I'd
dogs,
like to
hunting
have the
dogs.
chance to see whether we're going to put this motion Okay. first.
Listen to the officer first, please. Excuse me, we'll listen to the officer first, please.
We are kind of having a discussion here. We could include kind of a definition as a breeder and include in the kennel license 1, what it says in the, it's the license required for the,
just where it says 2 companion dogs or 4 working dogs and includes both companion dogs and working dogs. We could just add in there, it includes companion dogs and working dogs and breeding dogs.
And I think she was looking for a link to be able to get a licence.
Should be in our direction on the website, not in the policy.
Yeah, that's on the website.
Yes,
You know,
on the
also
website,
application.
okay.
Not in the policy.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So maybe just a note there that it's on the website to apply. Is on the
Process
website.
for any kennel licence, it's
Yes.
available, it's the
I
same
think
form.
that could be a bit confusing at some point, but there is no difference in the license, or maybe you can clarify that. If it's a breeder, I mean, it's.
No, like it doesn't matter what breed of dog you had, that's still a whether you're breeding or not, it's still a companion dog, it's still your pet as a companion. So just like a working dog is a working dog, but it's still a companion.
So like our power as a council is the number of dogs that you have registered, under which category you have registered them. And if we actually perceive any welfare issue regarding that, well, that trigger our power to report to the RSPCA. That's pretty much as we have tried to model this policy, because there's no other way to do it.
So the officers are happy, happy that this policy covers everything that we need.
Except that we'll add breeders. With a kennel license and breeders.
So anyone that's breeder, that is classified as a breeder now, will only be issued a companionship license, but it obviously covers their breeding with us now, because we don't have a breeder's license, as we're not allowed to.
Well, we got a.
So now we need a mover and a seconder for a
We
motion.
haven't got a deferral, we're right.
I was going to foreshadow a motion.
Yeah, that's fine, you can foreshadow a motion.
I'm going to put the motion
We
first.
haven't got a mover and a seconder yet for a
I'm
deferral.
going to move this motion, that's fine.
No.
With the
We're still
amendment,
discussing it first, or?
No,
We need to put a
no.
mover and
Councillor
seconder
Adams
before we
is,
discuss these
Councillor
things.
Adams is moving the motion.
with the amendment that we've proposed to put breeder next to the other words, that's right.
With the brief amendment.
Okay.
Councillor Adams, you wish to speak to it?
No,
Can I
do-
foreshadow a motion?
You can
Mayor?
foreshadow a motion, yes.
That we bring it back to the next workshop and then the next meeting and get it right before we actually pass it.
Now, Councillor Adams.
Right. Yes, well, what we need to do, of course, is to have our policy position so that our officers can deal with the issues that come up from people owning dogs and the breeding of dogs and not looking after dogs, the welfare. So we need to have those things in place. We've been a bit wanting, the whole state has. We've known that, and this has come up, and there's been a whole state issue to deal with this. And of course, dogs now are in so many different areas, all our defence forces, our police departments finding dogs in schools, acting as, helping kids get rid of anger. There's a whole range of things. So, but it's really about having a policy setting that allows your officers to deal with the things that where someone isn't looking after a dog, or people have dogs which are misbehaving and needs to be dealt with. And I think we're getting there with this, and therefore I've moved it, and I hope it carries.
Councillor Andrews.
Yes, I'd support Councillor Adams' remarks. We've been talking about this, and it's for months now, and it's gone out to the community, and we've got community feedback. We had a last little bit of community feedback from the lady who came in to talk to us tonight, and we've worked out after Councillor Archer's question, we've worked out how we can just add a few words to take into consideration her comments. And I think it's time that we've had several drafts that have come back to the council and been discussed in detail in a number of workshops. We're up to number 3 workshop maybe that's come back to. So I think it's time to do this. I'm happy that we've got a policy with the amendment of addition of 2 words, I think, and breeders. That we've got a policy that's a good sound one that has been endorsed by our community. They've had a chance to talk about it, and it's time to get on with it and just pass it.
Councillor Brooks.
I'm not sure who this question, I think it might go to the officer. But we have 40 submissions regarding the dog policy. I just want to know how many of those submissions have got into this policy other than the Dogs Tasmania and RSPCA submissions. Has there been any community submissions that have come in that we've changed in that policy, or have we disregarded all community?
We got the submissions here.
Yeah, I know, but did we adopt any of those?
Yes. Actually,
How many of them?
well, I'm not sure how many of them, but there were numerous comments about the disagreement from the community to have like a blank for everyone, as we got it in the draft. like kennel license and numbers of dogs wise. So that's why we removed that from the policy. That's one
That come
example.
from Dogs Tasmania or
No, but that
RSPCA?
comes from the community as well. Yes, but a lot of them actually. But I think, and I think it will be nice to be actually here and say thanks to the community, because I think they were very receptive with this consultation. We got comments regarding a lot of things, not just the policy, as for example, we need to be more mindful or strict with how people is responsible for their dogs. I don't know how to say this.
Barking.
No, well, barking, yes, but
Not large. So we had a lot of people concerned about the dogs at large, barking and feces on the nature strip.
this is on the nature strip, that one. So those things are maybe internal things that we don't need to, or we may consider to put it like the future in a policy. We need to work through us how we are going to cover that. But what we wanted to do with this policy were pretty much going around the kennel license and issue, that we didn't have anything related with kennel licenses, not the procedure, nothing. And I think some of the comments that we get were relating, some of them were like, this is actually good that councillor doing this. Other comments were, you need to put more attention to, for example, the feces, the barking, nuisance, how to say that?
Nuisance.
Nuisance, thank you. But also, I think in some or various comments were like, we need to be like dog owners, and they were identified themselves as a dog owners. Like, we are very responsible people. We want to have our dogs with us, and we actually would like that better structure for pet owners, especially the new ones that are getting to the municipality, to actually have like clear rules regarding everything. And we try to do that. But if you want to have a look.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the officers for the huge amount of work they've done. We've had a number of drafts come through. I want to thank all of those people that put forward submissions. There were some really detailed and some really good suggestions, which then formed the draft that we've got now. So if you look through, there are some huge additions to the policy. Things have tightened up quite significantly in relation to the Act. So I think that's really positive and a really good thing. I would like to see, because this is going to be reviewed when the new regs come through, of course it'll be reviewed again. I would like to see this reviewed not in 5 years, but in maybe 12 months or less, to see how these amendments are progressing, but with some KPIs attached to it, so we can see what we are actually measuring and whether the success is there. So I'm just wondering whether we would be able to include a few KPIs, some performance indicators, just to see that our policy is working, or if it's deficient in any areas, what those areas are and what we will need to amend and improve or further develop. So I would like to see that.
No, but we do have a animal control section in our agenda each month, and maybe we can look at bringing in some more KPIs and reporting on those regularly.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, that's great, thank you. I'd also like to see, as we move forward with this policy, some more opportunities for education of the public. It's a new policy with lots of changes, and I go on about how we're going to inform the community all the time, but it's really important that they understand and can access easily these changes and understand. So I believe we need to be looking at how we can promote that in the community. Obviously, we've got Facebook and we've got those kinds of things, but events that we run in the community, like the Longford Show is an example. It wouldn't be very difficult for us to have a stall at the Longford Show, to have our officers or people there to actually help people go through the policy. I'm a big believer in incentives as well for people to register their dogs and their pets. You know, wouldn't it be great to see some positive things from council? You know, for example, if you adopt a dog from a registered adoption agency, what about a reduction in your fees for a year or something like that? I mean, there's a lot of councils are doing these things now. And I think there may be some areas that we might need to look at in the future as some incentives. Discounts for trained dogs, for example, if you can prove it, for working dogs. I mean, there's a whole lot of incentives that we could implement into this policy as well as time goes on. But I would like to see that education not just a line in the policy, but acted on, so that we are actually out there informing our community. Because we have gone a step. We've done some really great work in putting those acknowledgements that you sign your registration, you're acknowledging that you're going to abide by the rules and the regulations, etc. But we need to show people what that actually means. So I would like to see some of that moving forward, and in particular the KPIs, so we've got something that we can go back on to look at the success or otherwise of these new changes. And of course, when the regs come through, the new ones from the state government, we will have to just sit back and amend it again. So I see this as a live document, continually changing, but I think 5 years is too long. I think 12 months.
Okay, our officer would like to say something.
Well, replying to Councillor Brooks, we got here like a matrix thing. So we got 5, regarding the code of responsible dog ownership. So there were the things regarding the barking dogs and the nuisance things and the feces on the streets. We got 4 dangerous dogs. We got actually a request regarding the dog park in Evandale, which is nothing related with the policy, but at least we got it. So we are making a note there. Just general comments as well. We got 17 kennel licenses comments related with the kennel licenses, which is pretty much half, kind of the comments that we get. We get 2 comments regarding the public consultation process saying, oh, finally, the community said is actually very important, which, okay. We got unregistered breeding of animals. So someone was pointing that maybe the people who has been responsible in registering their dogs could be punished with this kind of policy. So that's one of the things that we have in account. And another big one was 6 regarding the zoning and property size restrictions, which was one thing that we took out because of the feedback.
That was from Dogs Tasmania though, that one, wasn't it?
Well, we got one from Evandale. We got the Dogs Tasmanian one. We got one from Longford, one from Devon Hills, and another by email. They didn't specify where they were. Let me check if it's here. No.
It's Campbelltown.
I think it was Campbelltown, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Tatiana. I think that's pretty much clarified that. Councillor Archer.
Yeah, I'd just like to remove the motion, please.
Oh, yes.
I think basically,
You can call out
I
point
said
of order.
before, 29 councils spent the time we've done on dog policy. It's so inefficient. We've worked very hard to get where we are. There's always going to be little amendments, but I think it's time we work the motion.
Okay, I will put the motion. All those in favour? I'll beg your pardon.
Including the change.
Yes, including the change, yes. That change is fine. Okay. Oh, okay, read it out, yes. The council endorsed the amendments to the dog management policy and the code of responsible dog ownership, and B, include an alteration to the kennel license 1, companionship dogs to include breeding dogs. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Councillor McCullough is the only one against, so the motion's carried. Thank you. And it's, yes. Yes, we might get this finished, yes.
15.1 on page 88.
Okay. 15.1 is the monthly financial statement.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Adams is moving and Councillor McCullough is seconding. Any questions, discussions? Good night, everyone. No questions?
No, there was only an amendment this month for Ross pool fees.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 15.2, policy review, asset management, assistance to community organisations, business credit cards, contractual insurances, financial assistance hardship, investment in council funds and reporting. And we have a recommendation there that we endorse these policies. Councillor Adams is moving.
I'll move the recommendation.
Yes.
This is updating of policy.
Absolutely it is.
Very minor changes.
Yes. And Councillor Andrews is seconding. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Terry.
I noticed that the general manager's business card will be raised from 5,000 to 10,000 and managers will go from 2,500 to 5,000. Just a question to the general manager. What's the main reason behind that?
Main reason is when we purchase larger things, that restriction of 5,000 just wasn't enough. Things like conferences that councillors' bookings that we have to pay for and yeah, larger items. So it just became impractical for the 5,000 limit. So we've lifted that to 10.
Just a supplement. When was it last increased? Some time ago?
Yeah, no, I can't tell you, but yeah, some time ago.
Thank you.
And actually, there's an allowance there for a mayor to have one. Any further questions, comments on the policies? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. So we haven't got any works reports, have we? No? Okay, we're ready for closed council, so we won't move into that till we come back in. We'll have our meal now.
No works.
No works. We've got a new grader driver doing an excellent job.